All right, let's talk about something that's totally invisible, but honestly runs our entire world: semiconductor backend supply planning. I know, it sounds complicated, right? But think of it like this. It's the super intense final sprint that every single microchip has to run before it ends up in your hands. So let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on. I mean, really think about that for a second. How do they pull that off? It feels like magic, but I promise you it is anything but. It's the result of this insanely complex, high-stakes planning game. And the secret to winning that game? It all comes down to mastering what the industry calls the final mile. Okay, so section 1, the semiconductor's final mile. Here's the thing you have to understand. Making the raw silicon wafer, the actual brain of the chip, that's just the start of the story. The real make-or-break moment, where a product launch lives or dies, all happens in this final, super complex leg of the race.
Yeah, this really nails it. It's not just about making a chip, it's about delivering it. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine one team bakes 1,000 perfect cakes. Those are the raw chips, the dies. But then a completely different team has to take over. They have to frost them, package them perfectly, and get every single one to the right party on time. That second part? That's the delivery. And that, my friends, is where all the chaos can happen.
So that brings us to section 2. What is back-end planning? How on earth do companies even begin to manage this potential chaos? Well, they have a strategy for it, and it's called back-end supply planning. You can think of it as the official playbook, the grand strategy for taming that final mile. So what is it really? At its heart, it's a massive balancing act. You're constantly looking at what your customers are demanding over here and what your factories have the capacity to actually produce over there. And your job is to perfectly align those two things to figure out exactly what you can assemble, test, package, and sell. It's literally where the sales forecast slims right into the reality of the factory floor. And this is a super helpful way to picture it. You've basically got two completely different worlds. The front end, their whole job is making the wafer, creating the raw brains of the chip. But the back end, and that's what we're focused on, is where you take all those brilliant little brains, give them a body by packaging them up, and then run them through a whole battery of tests to make sure they work exactly like they're supposed to. Okay, section 3, measuring success. So if you're a planner in this insane high-pressure environment, how do you even know if you're winning? You've got to have a scorecard, right? Let's take a look at how they actually keep track of success. Right, we're talking about a process with millions of parts and literally billions of dollars at stake. You just can't wing it. And that's exactly why this scorecard is so critical. These metrics, what they call KPIs, are basically the vital signs of the entire operation. They tell a planner if everything's healthy or if the whole system is about to have a heart attack. First up, and this is a huge one, is lead time. Just think of it as a stopwatch. The clock starts ticking the second a customer places an order, and it doesn't stop until that finished product is in their hands. And in the tech world where everything moves at light speed, shorter is always better. It's a massive competitive weapon. Then you've got fill rate. This one's pretty simple, actually. It just asks one question. When a customer orders something, do you have it on the shelf ready to ship? A high fill rate means you're saying yes a lot, and a lot of yeses means a lot of very happy, very loyal customers. And of course, there are other numbers they're juggling constantly. You've got backlog orders. That's the pile of stuff you haven't shipped yet. Then there's excess inventory. That's the pile of stuff you made that nobody's bought yet, just tying up cash. And it's this crazy balancing act. If you try to lower your backlog by making more stuff, your excess inventory might shoot up. It's a puzzle where every single piece affects all the others. All right, section 4, the toughest hurdles. Now, this might all sound kind of manageable on paper, but look, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it perfectly. The reality is, planners are up against some massive hurdles that make this puzzle incredibly difficult to solve. And here's the absolute core of the problem. It's not really a back-end problem at all. The whole supply chain is one long connected domino chain. A tiny, tiny hiccup way back in the front end, something that seems like no big deal, can turn into a full-blown tidal wave of disaster weeks later. When it finally hits the back end, the ripple effects are they're almost impossible to predict. So let's tick through some of the big ones. You've got organizational silos. That's just a fancy way of saying the teams aren't talking to each other. So sales might promise a huge order to a customer without having any clue that the factory is already maxed out. Then there's poor data quality. I mean, trying to plan with bad data, it's like trying to drive a car with a blindfold on. Any one of these things, just one, can completely wreck a product launch. So, yeah, the hurdles are massive, but the payoff for getting it right is just as huge. So let's flip this around and talk about the solution. Section 5, a blueprint for success. Let's see how the best in the business are actually winning this game. And this blueprint is really a direct attack on those problems we just talked about. Step 1, you have to get visibility. You can't fix what you can't see. So you need to see problems as they happen in real time. Step 2, you use analytics to look into the future to spot problems before they even happen. Step 3, you take what you've learned and improve your processes, trimming the fat and making everything run smoother. And the final, crucial step, you align the organization. You tear down those silos and get everybody, from sales to the factory floor, on the same team working together. And this is really the key takeaway here. It's not just about hoarding mountains of data. I mean, anyone can do that. It's about building a system and a culture that can transform that raw data into actual intelligence. It's about making smarter decisions and making them way faster than your competitors can. Which really leaves us with this one big question to think about. These chips are in everything now, from our cars to our coffee makers. They are literally the backbone of modern life. And as that technology gets more and more complex, this whole final mile puzzle just gets harder. So, what's the next great challenge that these planners are going to have to figure out?